This week on Elevated Mindset, the podcast. The Elevated Mindset podcast gives their 2 cents on some other topics found while scrolling. Take a look.
Wow, yes, this is some good stuff. Some good stuff.
If your idea of relaxing before you go to sleep is watching 3 episodes of Law & Order, I would encourage you to think about, why is trauma relaxing to me?
Whether you live in the same household or not, when a man cooks for you, whether you're sick, whether you're well, no matter what, it's always praiseworthy. Because
man gets up and cooks something for you while you're sick, that's not basic.
No,
what is it?
That's basic.
Is it?
That's basic.
Is
Basic.
it?
That's basic.
The woman in Oklahoma.
More pregnancies require immediate medical attention.
We live way out in the country. They said, we can't help you. And my husband begged him. He's like, can I speak to the ethics board? Can I speak to any other dog?
And we have a special guest, Mr. Bryan of Be Strong.
I'm founder and CEO of Be Strong International Athletic. But I'm the first black bottled water company. One of the first people to help create GPS, actually.
Elevate their mindset about Mr. Bryan Willis and Be Strong Water. That's what we're going to do for you guys today. We're going to elevate your mind. And counting down 3, 2, 1. Hey, it's that time again, guys. We hope you guys are ready for some intelligent discussion amplified. Let's give it up for 1/3 of the Elevated Mindset podcast, Miss Shan, aka Flawless of the SYA firm. All right. Also for 2/3 of the Elevated Mindset podcast, Yvonne, the Cheddar Getter Smith of MyBrilliantConcepts.com. And last but definitely not least, the diva herself, D of ARG Realty Group. Y'all, let's go. Buckle up. Get ready for another ride, another highly intelligent, discussion amplified episode of Elevated Mindset, the podcast. Who's ready to elevate? Who's ready to set it straight? Who's ready to talk about topics up for debate? See, you can't rehearse this. We ain't talking purses. We're talking about breaking those generational curse. For us ladies, it's urgent. Babies running to
Thank you for tuning in again to the Elevated Mindset podcast. Everybody doing? How was everybody's day?
Well, I have had a fantastically busy day, and I'm grateful because I could not be busy and it be a problem.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm going to count it all good, and I'm still moving and grooving.
Yep.
Hello, my beautiful sisters. Good to see you guys as always.
Welcome, Mr. Bryan Willis of Be Strong Water. We're happy to have you here. We've been waiting to have you here. So awesome.
Welcome.
Glad to be here, ladies. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to talk a little bit about your business, your product, and exactly what it is that you do. The people out there want to know. So we're going to elevate their mindset about Mr. Bryan Willis and welcome. Thinking about things that you allow into your psyche or, before you go to bed. And Yvonne can better touch on it, although we all took a look at it, but Yvonne captured her attention, and we all are guilty of certain things before we kind of shut down. I know I do. But Yvonne, touch on that a little bit about what the young lady was talking about.
Well, it was an interview from Mel Brooks, and I got a snippet of the podcast that she was doing, and she had a Black therapist on. And and the way she even brought it out, she was like, ooh, can I say this? But why is it that we often tune into all of this dysfunction, dis-ease, particularly what is it, Law and Order? Because that's a favorite around my house across generations. Law and Order, CSI. First 48. And when you get off work and you get settled. And it's like, before you go to bed, you're going to catch your 3 episodes or your 2 episodes or whatever. You're going to tune in. And that's relaxing. Why is that?
As a matter of fact, tonight is the night. No, we're going. Carry on.
But, and I said, oh my gosh, she's pulling triggers. But, it's a good thing that she shined a light on it, because for me, it shines a light on we walk around with a lot of anxiety that we can't pin down, or why it's always so high, right? But she mentioned that, you know, we find comfort in the drama. That thing just fell on me like, oh, really? No. But it's the truth. But
this can't be right.
But you know, so I think it's worthy of reflection, right? When we're dealing with things in our own individual spaces and the things and the quest that we're on, and we know that private room of that anxiety about this, that, or whatever, and the constant beat of that, especially being a Black person in America with the level of PTSD that we carry, but then just looking at our habits and how we've been programmed for what we eat on a regular. And it's crucially important what we digest before we go to sleep.
That was one of our main things, what you bring in before you go to sleep. And I know that,
Yes. And so to me, that struck a chord to say, you know, those are adjustments that we can make, especially when we walk around and we see so much automatic.
Yes.
You know, everywhere you go, it's like, okay, we need to turn this down. And then you look at the programming that we're getting, and it be, you know, it be juicy. It be juicy. It be, oh man, did you see?
Juicy like a steak. Did you see that? And you know, and I totally get it, because I think we all at some point, everybody probably is guilty of that. So like you said, to bring it up, did give it some reflection. I can honestly say that a while back that I started doing different exercises to bring down the evening, all the way down to the lighting, screen time on the phone, different things like that, because it started helping me, you know, take myself down, because I'm a person that it's hard for me to unwire. You know, to shut everything off, to turn that mental off, because you know you can lay in bed and you be wide open.
Yes.
I'm thinking about plans and details, and sometimes you want to just shut off and disconnect, and it's hard. Your body tired, but your mind want to keep going. So and so I found that those little exercises with making it a certain time that I ain't looking at the phone, and because even in the mornings when I'm moving around, I don't like immediate light. People do things differently, but for me, that helps me. I don't need everything just bright and shining right away. No, I need to go into this lightly. Sometimes I'm just using the flashlight from my phone until I'm ready to turn the light on. So whatever it takes is all. It's the same way I have to wind down, I got to wind up. So, you know, and it's helpful. So whatever it takes, and I turn on the sounds of the ocean. And that, you know, so this kind of started bringing me down. So I think people, if you find some little ways, because like I said, I still have to take into account what I'm watching right before I get ready to break it down. But usually I have to have me some kind of way of breaking it down, because if not, everything is still on whatever I'm doing or going to do tomorrow.
But it's important, right? It's important to understand how programmed we are now. Like TV used to go off. Remember? When TV
Unfortunately, I am old enough to remember.
Start getting that snow, and TV was different then, because we could fall asleep watching TV, and we wouldn't know TV went off until we heard
the next day when you hear that snow and see the black and white.
Snow, and then you wake up.
Brian, you remember that, huh?
I think it's by design now that TV is like it is, and Mr. Bryan, I want you to give your take on it, but let me just say, I'm glad that we're talking about this, because I thought that I was doing myself a favor, because it's hard for me to sleep at night. I can't turn this thing off. I cannot for the life of me find the off button. And I figure if I stop watching the news at night, that will help. But I traded that for something else. So and when Yvonne brought this up, and I was listening to this young lady speak, it's like, wow. And she said something that resonated with me, so because it's like, my job is hectic. I'm sorry, let me back up. My career is hectic. and just stuff that goes on a daily basis, and people have become so desensitized that it's incredible. It blows your mind. And so when you get in your own space, it's like, oh my gosh, all these things going on in my head, all this stuff was happening during the day. I need just a few moments of peace. But peace is already here. We just turn the TV on, or we're doing other stuff. And I found myself turning the TV on just because there's noise in the background. I can be doing 100 other things and not even paying attention to it, but that noise is in the background.
And I'm opposite. I just wanted it to be quiet because I like to come in and the world is shut off.
Sometimes
so it is a training, yeah. I'm like,
it takes a migraine or something to get me to that point. So I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, but
what do you do to unplug, Bryan?
My favorite thing to do if I was sleeping alone by myself, it would be listen to soundscapes, and I would go to sleep. But my wife's not a big fan of soundscapes, so I have to listen to what she wants to listen to. But something, if we have the television on, it's something funny, a cartoon or something. I tell you, to be honest with you, I love the Family Guy. To be honest with you. He brings out a lot of things that it's very funny, and he's not just on us; he's on everybody. So
yes, he is. Yes, he is. That is a funny cartoon if you pay attention.
It sure is. It's very educated, and I watch Sanford and Son. So things to make me laugh and go to
I
sleep.
do too. I watch Sanford and Son.
And that's not so tragic or trauma, right?
I love
that's
First
just
48.
going to sleep funny.
Every episode.
I have to every
but
single
I can't
episode.
watch it before I go to bed at night. I'll fall asleep during the day and watch it, but not at night. And I don't want that on my mind. But I understand why a lot of people watch some of the things and why I watch those things. It's sort of like in high school. You probably felt the best when somebody else was getting in trouble and going to the office and you weren't going to the office. And if not, you enjoy other people's tragedy. I think the enjoyment is out of it. It's not you.
It's a relief.
It's a relief.
You better
So
say
that's
true.
In it.
But this young generation, the younger generation who always want to pick up a pistol, a gun, a gat. What's the word y'all calling them now? I don't know. A gun. Because they ain't got no hands. There's absolutely no hands. The only thing they got hands for is a video game. They don't pull up on a monkey ball. They don't do a push-up. They don't do nothing outside. No Simon Says, no hopscotch, no nothing that will make them active. So now you got guys that weigh about 105 pounds soaking wet. Well, 112 because he got 7 pounds of pressure in his pocket. So he 105 soaking wet plus 7 pounds of pressure, which is that gun in his pocket. And this little bitty man with his pants sagging, and who sags? Skinny jeans. But he's sagging, but he's tough guy now because he got an additional 7 pounds on his waist. See, in my day, folks knew their place. Yeah. Folks knew their place, and it wasn't a matter of nobody bullying nobody, or it wasn't a matter of nobody being bullied or somebody not being able to say what it is you want to say or do what it is you want to do. But people knew their place, and I'm going to explain to you what that means by people knew their place back in my day. See, when everybody wasn't quick to pick up them pistols, pick up them guns to solve everything, you either solve it a couple different ways. You had to have you some hands or a little bit of education. And see, the new generation, you lack. The new generation is lacking a little bit of both of those. They ain't got no hand, and majority of them ain't got no sense. So when you add those two together, it's a horrible thing. They too lazy, too sorry to even think about a fight. So the first thing they do is grab a gun. So what I mean by folks stayed in their places, when you didn't have that to run to, when you didn't have that to go pull to, and you had to stand your ground. A lot of people knew when to shut their mouth, stay in their place. But see, now everybody want to pop back, get smart, and have something to say. But it's only because they got 7 pounds of pressure in their pocket, or in their sock, or in their waist, or up underneath the seat in the car. Gonna come back and shoot everything up. But the bottom line is, you got no hands.
An elevated mindset is an empowered state of higher thinking which ultimately shapes how you make sense of the world and yourself. The influence of how you think, act, and feel in any given situation is an impact of one's success or failure. So always operate with an elevated mindset.
Exactly. And before we move on to the last topic that we were talking about, that was a topic of discussion. In terms of the Be Strong water, we had an important question. People wanted to know, outside of everything, like, we know the water tastes good, got good taste and all that, but it's like, what about your water that makes it different from another bottle? If I had a bottle of water here and I had your bottle of water, what is making your water different?
The taste.
The
taste.
The taste? There you have it.
Simply the taste.
Simply the taste. So if anybody wants
to be strong and of a good courage, like I said, I just
all right.
A reliable brand.
Okay. Household, reliable, courage. And we're gonna list all of those words. We got enough words. We like them all. We'll take them.
To put them all.
But more than anything, we got it. Be strong. That's his tag, and I love it. If you're gonna be anything, be strong. So
I'm encouraged. It had to be a God-blessed venture. If I had to say 3 words, it had to be a God-blessed venture, because it really has. His hand has been on it. When I say it, all the products that I've created, water, no one has said they didn't like it. I mean, over the last 8 years, so I actually launched a bottled water plan in 2012 and donated 10 cases to my church during the Hopewell Friends and Family Day in August.
That is wonderful, because I was going to ask, do your company give back to the community? So there you have it.
Yeah, I've created several different things over the years, T-shirt drives and things of that nature to give back to the local rec league, and donated cases of water to some teams that were doing well, and
wonderful. And Be Strong was a part of the B&B event, as well as the brunch that we just had for Elevated Mindset. He was part of both of those events, and he definitely gives back. He gave to us, to people at the event. So you guys make sure that you pick up you some Be Strong fitness aware, and make sure that you get you some Be Strong water. Let them know the places, because Be Strong water is doing very well, and you have it strategically placed in some places right now. Could you tell them the stores and places where they can actually purchase Be Strong water right now if they were out?
Well, there's a Shell gas station on Lawrenceville. In Lawrenceville, it's on Sugarloaf Parkway and Old North Cross Road, right there on the corner. There's another, there's Valero in Lawrenceville over by Rose Jordan Park.
Okay.
They have stock in it. And
I passed by it on my way to work.
Yeah.
And I'm very familiar with the Shell. And what we'll do is we're going to put those specific addresses up for you guys, so that you, or if you're in the area, that you're able to actually purchase the water from these specific areas. But other than that, what other places can they get them? Is it a website? Because we're going to leave all that information for you guys.
Yeah, there's a website, like I say, bestrongwater.com. We can, I'll make sure that you have all that information that you can post. But you can purchase cases on the web as well. But the bottom line is, I grew up, like I said, in a single parent home for the most part of my life. And I saw my mother struggling with being able to pay for athletic fees and things of that nature for me. And she was a school teacher, and she could make that type of money. And then there were parents that made substantially less than her, and the friends that I played with that I knew were great athletes that couldn't play and participate because there was a couple of years for sports that I couldn't participate in, because I played football, basketball, and baseball. And what I ultimately want to do is make sure that I can, my company can be successful enough that I can give back to these youth organizations and parents and scholarships and stipends or whatever the case may be, that so that no kid that wants to play should not be able to play because they can't afford
I love that.
uniforms
Yeah, I
and
love that.
registration fees and things of that nature. So that's the basics of my business. And that's really why I started it.
And that is wonderful, because not only did athletes face those type of situations, even cheerleaders, drill team, flag, a lot of that stuff. And it's a lot of times you have to pick and choose what you were a part of because of the fact that your mama was not financially apt to cover all of that stuff. So that's wonderful that you'll be able to kind of help them in that situation, push people along, because it's a hard thing. A lot of people sit from the bench and watch, and they should be on the field or in the game.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and I was blessed enough to coach youth league football for 26 years actually, and I retired after my son, my oldest son, well, actually my youngest son, I'm sorry, when he graduated in 2016. I sort of helped out that last year, because he was like an assistant coach with me. He actually started coaching. He actually ended up coaching his high school's B team baseball team. So he had that coaching in his blood.
He took out the pop.
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, I wanted to give back, and that way I can give back. Now I understand all the hardships and the things that coaches and teams and players and team moms go through. Even after they get registered, there are things that the team needs to travel and do, and
it's a lot.
They rely on parents and ask for donations and have to have car washes and fish fries, and they don't need to have to do that. They shouldn't have to do all that.
That's right. And when you people do see them out there holding up their signs and all that, support them, because that's why they're out there. They're out there just trying to make a way. To, as they used to say, it's real in the field. It's real in the field and on and off the field if you can't get on it. So they really be out there trying to make stuff happen. So that is beautiful. That's beautiful. So I know Miss Yvonne Cheddar-Getter-Smith wanted to elevate your mindset in regards to Mr. Bryan Willis of Be Strong Water as well. So Miss Yvonne, by all means.
Why, thank you so much, beautiful. I'm just really sitting here, and it's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Bryan. I'm just impressed. I'm impressed by all of the things that you've done, and just listening to, you've answered some of the questions I have, so I'm not going to rehash that, but I want to point one thing out. I was going to ask you about, how did you come up with the name for your business? And you pointed to, the scripture, right? And being divinely inspired. And that is, it just kind of underscores to me your life and all of the different things that you've done. You've been inspired. But more importantly, going back to something else you said that your mom had you late. And you said either you were going to be, what was the word?
Retarded or a genius.
Retarded or a genius. That's what they used to say. I used to hear that. That was the word going around town.
Listen, no
well,
question.
I'll vote for genius because it takes a lot to be an engineer.
Right,
yes,
exactly.
Yes,
and that's where I was headed. That's where I was headed, that you have absolutely expressed your genius and you keep unfolding. So I guess the question that I have for you is, so right now, who do you feel are in your particular lane that you're in? You have a couple lanes out there, but do you feel that you have any competitors? Like, who are you aligned with? Do you feel you're positioned uniquely, or do you have competitors, people that you're competing in that same market platform?
Yvonne, it's amazing you say that, and it's probably the first time I really get a chance to say it publicly. I was given at the previous, not the company I work for now, not the previous company, the company before that, the one that I got laid off from during the pandemic. The president of the company gave me a book, and I wondered what was going on. I sort of should have felt this coming, but he gave me a book. It was called Blue Oceans. And he said, I want you to read this. He said, when I met you, it was something different about you. And after talking to you, he said, I see that you're going to be able to take advantage of this based on what you've done. And I had no clue. I had to read the book and started reading the book. And I really had to think a little bit more about the book after I read it. But what he brought to my attention was that I was unique. And the fact that I didn't have a competitor or anybody that was in the same lane with me and doing what I do, because and I sort of thought I took it for granted over the years. And as the more I talk to people, they say, really, what is that? You know, I don't know anybody else that's doing that. And these are people that, and I worked with throughout my career, I have to be honest with you, Caucasian men, and I have run across probably executives in my career in the 30 years that I've been in this industry. I'd say 5 at the most African-American people that had an influence, because these industries are the industries that pretty much run the world: the electric utility industries, the telecommunication industries, these core natural resources industries. And he said blue oceans, and when he said that, he said the connections and the network you created and the alignments that you have with these customers and these companies, actually, I mean, talking about presidents and CEOs of these companies. He said what he thought was brilliant, that I created my own consulting company after I got laid off in 2014 from a company that I worked for 11 years and made them over $8 million and a $10,000 severance package out the door because they decided to change gears. And I lost everything, the house, cars. It was traumatic. And I'll tell you this, my son and I were homeless for about 10 months, 10, 11 months. So I've been down that road. I've been homeless. I've been wealthy. I've had it and lost it. And so I don't take things for granted like I used to.
Absolutely. The walking testimony at this point.
So with that being said, Yvonne, I just feel like I don't have any competitors. There's nobody that I've always wanted a company, but I wanted a company that I had partners, not employees. And I live my life that way now. I align myself with the successful people and try to help them continue to be successful. And,
that is wonderful. I love it.
Happy Juneteenth Day from the Elevated Mindset Podcast, a holiday celebrated on June 19th to commemorate the emancipation of enslaved people in the U.S. You guys make sure you celebrate responsibly and enjoy.
Yes, she's got a way with words. Yes, she's got a way with words.
House, right?
Yes, and then you go to the party.
Go to the party, that's right.
Pick up something, and then you're going to pick up me and come back here and go to the party.
There you go. And then when I come from the party,
then we go to the pool.
Boom.
Founder and CEO of Be Strong International Athletics. And most people don't know it, but I'm the first black bottled water company with a venture. So I'll venture out and do things that people have never heard of, like GPS. I was one of the first people to help create GPS, actually. I was very instrumental in the creation of GPS.
Thank you.
A great big huge thanks to our special guest, Bryan Willis of Be Strong Water. We will be back. This is only part 1. There's so much we have to cover it in another session, guys. See you next time on part 2 of this episode of Elevated Mindset, the podcast.
and I set you apart.
Who's ready to elevate? Who's ready to set it straight? Who's ready to talk about the topics up for debate? See, you can't rehearse this. We ain't talking purses. We're talking about breaking those generational curses. For us, ladies, it's urgent. Babies running to surgeons, wanting fixed in a hurry. In the fall, they're blurry. Men keeping us worried. Tables are topsy-turvy, wanting ladies to save them, and ladies to master.